Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to DriveHub. It is Jake. It is me under all this beautiful facial hair that's coming in rather horrendously, I mean fantastically, might I say. But today it's not about facial hair. Today it is a very special day for the C5 Corvette because today we finally put the new wheels on her. Now, because of some good luck, fate, and circumstance, today we're putting on the wheels that I actually really wanted to put on the C5 Corvette. Because as of right now, the way that it sits, it's just not doing it for me. These factory 5-spoke chrome wheels aren't the best looking wheels in the world, is the way I'll put it nicely. Now, these are the factory 5-spoke chrome wheels that came on my Corvette when I bought it. These are factory C5 wheels. And, well, they're a little bit too early 2000s for me. Chrome isn't in terrible shape, but on some of the rims, you can see some pretty bad pitting. There's definitely some curb rash. That was not from me. No, not from me. Just not the look I'm going for with my Corvette. Now, I know I snaked you guys in the last video because I painted my calipers yellow. They came out beautifully, might I add, besides the front ones, which are already covered in brake dust because whatever brake pads were put on this car before are terrible, and the front ones make so much brake dust you cannot keep these things clean. But that's besides the point. Now I need a new wheel, a bigger wheel that looks nice and will really show off those beautifully painted calipers done by myself, might I add. So these are the wheels that I went with. Now, for some of you, this may come as no surprise at all. These are factory C6 Corvette wheels. And yes, if you watch the video with my dad's C6, I got you guys pretty good at the end of that video because these are the wheels that came off his car. These were the factory 5-spoke C6 Corvette wheels. For Father's Day, we gifted him with a set of chrome factory C6 5-spoke wheels, the same style as these, just chrome plated, and we wrapped them in Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. He wasn't really a huge fan that the tires were not matching brands front to rear, but honestly, I could care less. I'm sure these rears aren't gonna last very long anyways. So now, before this massive rainstorm that we're supposed to get hit with rolls in and really ruins my day, we're gonna put on the C6 wheels and tires onto my C5 Corvette. I'm gonna show you guys how they fit, if you need to run spacers, how the car sits with different wheels and tires on it. I've got the front factory C5 wheel off next to the factory C6 wheel that we're going to be putting on the car. Now remember, the factory C5 Corvette wheel is a 17-inch rim, while the new front C6 wheel is an 18-inch wheel. Corvette has staggered wheels front to back, so instead of being 17 front, 18 back, it's now going to be 18 front, 19 back. Now, one thing that I really like about the C6 Vette wheels in comparison to the C5 Vette wheels is the center cap. Now, the C5 wheels have a colored C5 Corvette logo, of course. On the C6 wheels, kind of hard to see. It's almost like holographic. This one is actually a little bit faded. You can see it a little bit better on the rear wheel. I really like that for some reason. It's kind of subtle. And just another note, the factory C5 front tire is a 245/45 ZR17, and the C6 front wheel is 245/40 R18. And before I put the new wheel and tire on, I am gonna clean my new painted brake calipers because they're already disgusting. Whatever brake pads were put on this car are terrible. They make so much brake dust and they make everything disgusting. Of course, it had to rain on me and make everything soaking wet while I was trying to work, but here are the rear two tires. Now, the tire on the left is the C6 wheel and tire. The tire on the right is the factory C5 wheel and tire. Now, you will notice, it actually might be the angle of my driveway, but the C6 tire looks a little bit taller compared to the C5 tire. And what's also barely noticeable is that the C6 tire is actually a little bit wider than the C5 tire. That's because the C5 tire is a 275/40 ZR18 and the C6 tire is a 285/35/19. Now that's an absolutely barely noticeable difference in the width of the rear tire, but I must say I am a fan of the tread pattern on the new tires going on. The Firestone Firehawk Indy 500. It's a great looking tread pattern, much more attractive than the Sumitomo whatever the were on it before. So now we're gonna throw the new wheel and tire onto the Corvette. Now there is something to be noted about C6 wheels on a C5 Corvette. Now as you'll see, the tire sits in pretty far into the wheel well, even though the rear tire is now wider than the factory C5 tire was. You can see the wheel sits in pretty far. The tire sticking in like this is not a bad thing. It doesn't rub, it doesn't hit on anything in the wheel well, and it doesn't really look all that bad. But I wanted to try something, experiment, so that I can make your guys' life hopefully a little bit easier. So luckily, my uncle had these laying around. These are 1.5" spacers. I know they're 1.5" because I measured it myself. And for the sake of visuals, on this side, I did not put on the spacer, but on the other side, I already went ahead and took the liberty of putting the spacer on. Now with the 1.5" spacers on, your tire just barely sticks out from the wheel well. I mean it's very hard to see it. It's just a sliver out of the wheel well. But what I found was from this angle up here, it actually fits and looks really, really good. It does look really, really good in the back, even though that's probably not the smartest way to run the car right now. Now I know that spacers aren't great to use anyway, so this is probably not the size spacer that you want to use, especially because if you were to hit a bump hard enough and push that tire up, it's going right into your fender and it's going to crush it and it's going to make a whole mess. But I just wanted to show you guys the comparison with the spacer and without it, to show you how far in the factory C6 Corvette wheel sits in the fender of the C5 Corvette. Again, it doesn't really look terrible, and without the spacer, it actually looks like the front wheel sits a little bit further out than the rear does. That could just be an optical illusion, maybe. Now, as for me, if I'm gonna use the spacers or not, the smart, sensible portion of my brain is telling me to not do it, to be smart and don't use the spacer. It's giant, it could fall off. Your tire could go up into your fender well and cause a big disaster, but if that fender does get damaged, then I could go wide body fenders in the back. Those spacers do look kind of good on there. Maybe I'll just put both spacers on and I can always drive carefully. All right, now the spacer is on. Hey, what are you guys doing back there? All right, guys, it's finally finished. What do you think of the new look of the C5 Corvette? I really do love the style of these wheels. I was very, very happy to inherit them. Who am I kidding? I had to pay for these things. They weren't given to me. But I really, really like the look of the factory C6 5-spoke wheels when they're on the C5 Corvette. And I really like it because it makes the Corvette look more modern. It gives it an updated appearance, and it still looks pretty good, even though the front end is sitting as high as a frickin' monster truck. I still don't know what I'm gonna do about the front suspension. I don't know why it's sitting so high now after I tried to adjust the ride height adjustment bolts. Damn thing's looking like a new Ford Bronco. Good gosh, look at that wheel gap. Oof. I don't know if I'm gonna get lowering bolts or do coilovers or what. If you guys have any idea of what to do with this, drop me a comment. All right, guys, well, let me know down in the comments section what you think of the C6 wheels on the C5 Corvette. Do you like the look? Do you hate the look? And if you hate the look, then suggest some other wheels that you think would look really good on the C5 Corvette. And stay tuned for a follow-up video where I discuss the different handling and ride characteristics with the C6 wheels on it, because these are 18 and 19-inch wheels as compared to the factory C5 17 and 18-inch wheels. So there is going to be a difference in the ride quality and the handling characteristics. And also let me know what you guys think of the yellow painted brake calipers with these wheels. I thought the yellow calipers would look really good with the gray wheels. I didn't want to do red, I didn't want to do blue. I wanted to do a color that was really going to stand out because I have a silver car and I have silver wheels, and I wanted something to pop on it. But it's literally 103 degrees out. I'm sweating like a pig, so that's it for today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Happy motoring.